Today we take a look at the amazing country of the Netherlands. A major player in the global community, those living there have literally defeated the sea for centuries to not only survive, but to thrive.
My name is Ryan, and in this episode we'll learn all kinds of things about this innovative country, including the following.
If we're talking about the Netherlands, why do so many people call it Holland? How can coastal land below sea level manage to stay dry? Why are the people from the Netherlands called Dutch? And what types of things are the Netherlands major producers of? Answers to these questions and so much more will be blooming for all to see throughout the video, starting with their geography.
'Cause you know the world is beautiful.
The Netherlands is in Western Europe and borders the North Sea between Belgium and Germany. Ranked 134th in land area, the Netherlands is roughly twice the size of the American state of New Jersey and a bit bigger than Switzerland. Historically, there has been misinformation with the name of the country.
To be clear, the land that we're looking at today is the Netherlands, not Holland.
So why the confusion? The Netherlands is divided into 12 provinces, with 2 being North and South Holland. The 2 Hollands are historically and economically important, with much of the nation's early explorers and foreign trade coming from Holland. The next thing you know, people began calling the entire country the wrong name. A land that's basically one big river delta, the name Netherlands literally means the lowlands, and refers to the land being both flat and downriver from higher areas. So how low is it, you might ask? As much as 26% of the land and 21% of the nation's population is actually below sea level. 1/4 of the Netherlands would literally be a part of the North Sea without some major help.
The Netherlands is literally able to stay above water due to its amazing engineering.
Forced over the years to fight the sea more seriously than any outward enemy, the Dutch have developed intricate and highly effective systems to prevent flooding. A great example of this would be the Delta Works, a sophisticated system of dams, sluices, locks, dikes, and storm surge barriers in the Netherlands that literally keep the country from being reclaimed by the sea. The Delta Works, along with the earlier Zatterjee Works, were recognized by the American Society of Civil Engineers as one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. With the aforementioned barriers not being dam enough, the Netherlands fight the rising tides in other ways, including the use of pumping stations to pump out water from reclaimed lands known as polders.
The best example of this would be the Woude Pumping Station, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that is the largest steam-powered pumping station in the world.
Their war with water does not end there. Have you seen those iconic windmills dotting the Dutch landscape? They've been used since the 8th century to keep the land dry and to prevent flooding by pumping water into canals and rivers to drain wetlands and manage water levels in agricultural fields. A great example of this would be the mill network at Kinderdijk Elshout, a World Heritage Site. And finally, in the geography section at least, the many artificial rivers of the Netherlands led to the creation of canal jumping, a sport which is especially popular in the northern province of Friesland. In canal jumping, participants use a long pole to jump across the body of water. The world record for the competition, which is like pole vaulting for distance, is an amazing 72 feet and 10 inches, set in 2017 by canal jumping legend Jaco de Rood. And if you want to jump in on an amazing journey, please like the video and subscribe to learn all about our global community. The best part? It doesn't cost a thing.
So you need a little break, huh, boy?
Whatever the Netherlands lacks in land size, it more than makes up for it in its people.
With over 17 million residents, it is one of the most densely populated countries in the world. The majority of Dutch genetics are made up from Northwestern European ancestry, which makes sense because that's where they are on the map. Their lineage mostly comes from Celtic and Germanic tribes and early medieval Franks. Genetic studies show that they are closest in relation to their neighbors, the Germans, Belgians, and British. In the northern part of the country, there are hundreds of thousands of Frisians, a Germanic ethnic group native to the coastal regions of the North Sea. Their language, Frisian, is linguistically closer to English than any other language in the world. Today, the Netherlands does have a sizable foreign population. While 75 to 80% of those living in the country are ethnically Dutch, there are communities of people with other European backgrounds, as well as people with Turkish, Indonesian, Moroccan, and Surinamese backgrounds.
Speaking of which, why are the people of the Netherlands called Dutch and not Netherlandic?
The word Dutch comes from a Proto-Germanic word that meant of the people or national, a word that was shared by all Germanic people, which is why the Germans called Germany Deutschland. As the English language evolved, Dutch became associated specifically with the people of the Netherlands. In the Dutch language, the country is called Nederland, and the people are called Nederlanders. At an average height of about 6 feet, the men of the Netherlands are the tallest people in the world. Why so tall, you might ask? Of course, genetics plays a role, with taller people, men specifically, historically having more children than shorter people. Scientists believe that another major factor is their diet, with dairy products such as milk, yogurt, and cheese being a huge part of a Dutch child's diet. Healthcare and a high standard of living are other reasons the experts point to. The Dutch are known for their directness in communication. In conversations, they typically speak their truth in full detail, leaving little need for reading between the lines, which can be intimidating if you don't get to the point yourself.
Another interesting fact about Dutch communication is that 90% of its people can also speak English, a huge plus if you're an English-speaking tourist.
Notable people from the Netherlands include legendary artists Rembrandt and Vincent van Gogh. Alive during the 17th century, Rembrandt is considered one of the greatest painters in the history of art. Centuries later, he is still celebrated for his innovative use of light and shadow and ability to convey human emotions. Van Gogh is most known for such paintings as Starry Night and Sunflowers, and for cutting off part of his own ear. Other Dutch legends include founding father William of Orange, who led the revolt against the Spanish, explorer Abel Tasman, discoverer of Tasmania and New Zealand, footballer Johan Cruyff, humanist and philosopher Erasmus, musician Eddie Van Halen, and German-born Anne Frank. More on her story later in the episode.
As always, there are so many more. Please let me know of other Dutch greats in the comments.
I'm in love with the city lights.
Besides creating all kinds of ways to stay dry, the Dutch have innovated other things for the betterment of the world. The telescope, invented in the Netherlands in 1608, has a disputed origin that has intrigued scholars for over 4 centuries. The one thing we can say for sure is that it was invented by a Dutchman. Was it Hans Lippershey, or the work of Jacob Matthias and Zacharias Janssen? Feel free to share your view of this in the comments. Dutch tradesman and scientist Antony van Leeuwenhoek improved upon the works of previous scientists by developing single-lens microscopes that can magnify an object by up to 200 times, allowing him to observe and describe microscopic organisms for the first time. For his work, he is known as the father of microbiology.
In keeping with the visual theme, the eye test chart that we see when we go to the eye doctor was invented by ophthalmologist Herman Snellen in 1862 to measure visual acuity.
According to my mom, a good way to not need glasses is to eat orange carrots, a Dutch invention. While the vegetable itself comes from ancient Persia, we can thank its universally accepted color of orange to the Dutch. The modern orange carrot was developed in the Netherlands as a tribute to the ruling House of Orange-Nassau. Though financial exchanges had been happening in neighboring Belgium for decades, the first modern stock exchange was the Amsterdam Stock Exchange, established in 1602 by the Dutch East India Company. It is considered the world's first modern stock exchange because it introduced the concept of publicly traded shares, whereas those in Belgium did not. The popular spirit gin can be traced back to the 17th century in the Netherlands with the development of jenever, a juniper-flavored spirit. Its original purpose was to be a medicinal remedy. Other Dutch innovations include certain aspects of Wi-Fi, the fire hose, speed skating, the pendulum clock, and kidney dialysis.
With about 33 million people of Dutch origin living on the planet, roughly half of them live outside of the Netherlands.
The largest population can be found in their former colony of South Africa, in which there are between 3 to 7 million people with at least partial Dutch ancestry. The easiest to identify are the Afrikaners, with a population of around 3 million people. Their African roots stretch back to 1652 when the Dutch East India Company established a settlement at the Cape of Good Hope. Who is and isn't Dutch South African gets much murkier when looking at the colored population. With a population over 5 million, it's reasonable to expect many to have at least partial Dutch ancestry, but no known number that I can find identifies how many in the colored community are in fact part Dutch. Famous South Africans with Dutch ancestry include former presidents Paul Kruger and F.W. de Klerk, actress Charlize Theron, and famed doctor Christian Barnard. Other countries with a large Dutch population include France, with basketball player Tony Parker and possibly even former President Charles de Gaulle. Canada has over 1 million people with Dutch ancestry, including actresses Neve Campbell and Colby Smulders. Brazil and Indonesia also have a sizable population of people of Dutch descent, but the country with the second largest foreign-born Dutch population is the United States, with about 4 million people who claim Dutch ancestry.
The Netherlands' relationship with the U.S. dates all the way back to colonial times when the Dutch held the colony of New Netherlands, which made up much of the present-day states of New York, New Jersey, and Delaware.
Dutch settlement in the Americas started in 1613, and their most prominent town soon became New Amsterdam, whose name was changed to New York City after England took control of the territory. Many places in New York City still have Dutch-inspired names such as boroughs Brooklyn and Staten Island, neighborhoods Harlem, the Bowery, Coney Island, Greenwich Village, and even Wall Street. The NBA's New York Knicks were even named after the Knickerbockers, a name given to New Yorkers of Dutch descent.
Dutch-inspired names can be found all around the country, but the one that gave me nightmares as a kid was the Murder Kill River, seen here near my home.
A place that sounds like it belongs in a horror film, the Murder Kill is less threatening when you consider it was named Motor Killed by the Dutch, which translates to the much less threatening Mother River. I also live near a slaughter beach. Should I move? Notable Americans with Dutch heritage include Presidents Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt, both George Bushes, Warren Harding, and Martin Van Buren. Business magnate Cornelius Vanderbilt, inventor Thomas Edison, writers Pearl Buck, Herman Melville, and Walt Whitman. Actors Humphrey Bogart, Dick Van Dyke, Rebecca Romaine, Jimmy Smits, and Shirley Temple, as well as golfing legend Tiger Woods. I'm even part Dutch on my dad's side.
The cuisine of the Netherlands is known for its simplicity, hearty ingredients, and gratuitous use of dairy products.
Traditional Dutch cooking reflects its rich agricultural history and global trading power. The national dish of the Netherlands is stamppot, a traditional meal made by mashing potatoes with other vegetables such as kale or sauerkraut. It's often served with smoked sausage. Many in the nation love their pancakes in a variety of ways. Pannenkoeken is a type of Dutch pancake, larger and thinner than American pancakes, often topped with bacon, cheese, apples, or raisins, or just eaten with syrup and powdered sugar. Poffertjes are fluffy little pancakes made with buckwheat flour and yeast to make the dough and cooked in a fluffy little special pan. Hollandse nieuwe, or raw herring, is typically eaten with chopped onions and pickles.
It's a traditional snack often enjoyed by holding the fish up by the tail and taking a bite.
Bitterballen, I chose this one because I love the name, are deep-fried balls of meat ragu, usually served as a snack or appetizer with mustard. They are a favorite in bars and pubs. And in a nod to their maritime relationship with Southeast Asia, the Netherlands features Indonesian-inspired dishes such as satay, a skewered meat dish served with peanut sauce, and rijsttafel, a rice table featuring small dishes including various meats, vegetables, and condiments.
The government of the Netherlands is a parliamentary constitutional monarchy.
Their monarch is King Willem-Alexander, who serves as the ceremonial head of state. The executive power is vested in the Council of Ministers, led by Prime Minister Mark Rutte, who has served in the position since 2010. Unlike most nations, the Netherlands has two capital cities. Amsterdam acts as the capital of the nation, while The Hague resides as the seat of government. To make a long story short, in the 17th century, the country wanted to acknowledge Amsterdam's growing importance, while also keeping the functioning government in The Hague. Their constitution applies to the entire Kingdom of the Netherlands, in which the Netherlands is one of 4 constituent countries, along with the Caribbean nations of Aruba, Curaçao, and St. Martin. They all share the same monarch, yet are dependent on the Netherlands for matters like foreign policy and defense, but are autonomous to a certain degree with their own parliaments. The Netherlands also has 3 special municipalities in the Caribbean: Bonaire, Saba, and St. Eustatius.
In terms of the economy, at the mouth of the Rhine River, you'll find the Rotterdam Harbor, the largest port in the world outside of East Asia.
The port plays a vital role in the Dutch economy, contributed significantly to the employment and economic growth. Despite being small in size, the Netherlands uses advances in vertical farming, seed technology, and robotics to rank second in the world in exporting agricultural products. A major example is flower production, in which they export 1.7 billion cut flowers a year, 60% of the global trade. Tulips are the most iconic of the Dutch flowers, but they grow many types such as roses, lilies, and hyacinths. They are also major exporters in vegetables such as tomatoes, cucumbers, and lettuce by using cutting-edge greenhouse and vertical farming technology. Other major exports include ornamental plants and seeds, dairy products, especially Dutch cheeses like Gouda and Edam, potatoes, and meat.
The Netherlands attracts between 15 and 20 million tourists a year. The biggest attractions can be found in Amsterdam, one of the most famous cities in the world.
People visit for its canal ring, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, its museums such as the Rijksmuseum and the Van Gogh Museum, a vibrant nightlife, including its famed red light district, and a very tolerant culture. Other top attractions not mentioned already include Keukenhof Gardens, one of the world's largest flower gardens, the West Frisian Islands, which serves as a coastal paradise, and Heathorn, a small but heavily visited town that is known as the Venice of the Netherlands.
Life is brief, don't let that get you down. Don't let that get you down.
Human history in the Netherlands is believed to go back over 250,000 years due to evidence of Neanderthals being found near the city of Maastricht.
More recent ancient cultures include the Upper Paleolithic Hamburg culture, while the world's oldest canoe, believed to be a product of Mesolithic Megalomosian-like tribes, was found in the Netherlands dating back to 8000 BC. Skipping forward a few thousand years, Germanic tribes began showing up in the area around 850 BC, until Julius Caesar came conquering in 57 BC. The Romans would take control of the Dutch lands south and west of the Rhine, while Germanic tribes held control in the north and east.
This position, for the most part, held serve until the early 5th century when the Roman government collapsed and the Franks moved in.
The Franks under Charlemagne were able to defeat the entire area that makes up today's Netherlands in 785. It was their Frankish language that eventually evolved into modern-day Dutch. The land that is today known as the Netherlands spent much of the Middle Ages as a part of the Holy Roman Empire, but pretty much controlled themselves with several feuding states. The Hook and Cod Wars were fought in the county of Holland between 1350 and 1490, mainly over who should have the title of Count of Holland. It was also a power struggle between the rich merchant Cods and the ruling nobility Hooks. Eventually, the Cods got help from Philip the Good, effectively putting it under the control of the French. After the Burgundian period, the Habsburgs did what they did best and inherited the Low Countries, which then became part of the Spanish Empire under Charles V. During this period of time, the aforementioned Erasmus contributed greatly to the Northern Renaissance and the beginnings of the Protestant Reformation. He advocated for church reform, emphasized education, and promoted a return to classical learning and biblical sources. In 1568, the northern provinces revolted against Spanish rule, leading to the 80 Years' War. There were many reasons for the Dutch rebellion, including the right to be Protestant. Decades of destruction ended with the 1648 Treaty of Westphalia, where Spain formally recognized the independence of the Dutch Republic.
The Dutch Golden Age was a period of Dutch history of great wealth, cultural achievements, and significant advances in science and trade.
The Dutch became expert seafarers and established a presence throughout the world. Cornelis de Houtman led the first Dutch expedition to Indonesia. A second expedition led by Jacob Cornelius van Neck opened up the spice trade for the Netherlands, which would lead to the creation of the powerful Dutch East India Company. Jan van Riebeek founded the colony of Cape Town in 1652. Meant to be a pit stop on the way to Southeast Asia, it eventually grew into a permanent settlement. The Dutch would eventually hold lands in present-day Sri Lanka, Taiwan, the eastern United States, a number of Caribbean islands, and South America. The era left a lasting legacy in art, science, and commerce.
In 1806, Napoleon Bonaparte established the Kingdom of Netherlands, appointing his brother Louis Bonaparte as the king.
However, Louis tried to serve the Dutch interests instead of his brothers. So in 1810, Napoleon sent in his army and the Netherlands became a part of the French Empire until Napoleon's defeat at the Battle of Leipzig 3 years later. After Napoleon's defeat, the Congress of Vienna in 1815 established the United Kingdom of the Netherlands, which included present-day Belgium and Luxembourg. Not happy with the arrangement, the Belgians declared their independence from the Netherlands in 1830. In 1848, under pressure from liberal movements and revolutions across Europe, King William II accepted a new constitution drafted by Johann Rudolph Thorbecke. It established a parliamentary democracy, limited royal power, and expanded civil liberties. Moving forward, the Netherlands remained neutral during World War I, a stance that would change in World War II when Germany invaded the Netherlands in May of 1940. The Rotterdam Blitz forced most of the Dutch army to surrender, and during the occupation, over 100,000 Dutch Jews were transported to Nazi extermination camps. Only a few survived. The Netherlands declared war on Japan on December 8, 1941, but weren't able to prevent Japanese occupation of the Dutch East Indies. After World War II, the Dutch fought Indonesia in an effort to regain control of it, but were unsuccessful. In 1954, the Netherlands decolonized due to international pressure, with all remaining colonies becoming independent countries within the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Anne Frank was a Jewish girl who kept a diary during the Nazi occupation of the Netherlands in World War II, a document that became a famous account of the Holocaust. Forced into hiding with her family in Amsterdam, she documented her fears, dreams, and reflected on humanity's capacity for cruelty and kindness. Tragically, the family was discovered in 1944 and sent to concentration camps. Anne died of typhus in Bergen-Belsen in 1945, just weeks before the camp's liberation. Her diary, published after the war as The Diary of a Young Girl, has since become a symbol of resilience, hope, and the horrors of war. And finally, the Netherlands has a vibrant bicycle culture rooted in practicality, sustainability, and health. Dutch cities are famous for their extensive cycling infrastructure, including dedicated lanes, bike-friendly streets, and ample parking facilities. So if you visit the Netherlands, be sure to hop on a bike and become a part of the local culture.
The Netherlands leaves a global footprint much larger than its size due to its innovative people, its rich culture, and amazing history. Thanks for watching and joining us as we look to better understand our global community.
Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon.